to another video. I'm not planting right now, as you can see. The planter's in the air, but I'm about to go start planting again. We just barely finished this field right here. I say barely finished. We need like just a hair bit more, couple more, like 2 more rounds. I don't know. The other field net is being weird, and it's just, I don't know. It's doing that. Yeah. Anyways, that's weird. But welcome back to another video. We're moving over to the next field. The next field is going to be a big one. It's going to be 480 acres. So that one should take us the rest of today, and then hopefully by tomorrow it'll get done. That's the plan anyway, and tomorrow's Saturday. So I can actually go home for the weekend and see my wife and baby. But plan is now to empty out my planter. The next field is seed block. So that means they want to use that cotton seed for production seed. So all the seed that I have left over in any one of my boxes, I have to make sure my boxes are completely empty. I have to make sure that there's next to no seed in there, as clean as it can possibly get. Fill in the new seed. I'm also out of fertilizer in the front, so I gotta make sure I always got to fill up that. I always have to fill up fertilizer at the exact same time I fill up seed. It's kind of, it's a little convenient having it right at the same time. Well, the seed usually lasts a little bit longer than the fertilizer, but this way you can fill up completely on seed, or you don't have to overflow your boxes, and that works pretty good. And I believe the back box is the hydrogen. I believe I'm still good on that, but I'm going to double check it anyway. I'll fold up because I have to kind of maneuver through some terrain. There's a river I have to drive through. If it rains here in the mountains, there's a nice river a little ways further that way. It's a nice river that just comes gushing past, and just like there's a road, but anytime there's rain, it just destroys the road. So there's no point in having the road. So you kind of gotta just drive through it, all the washouts and everything. But it works. It's not too bad. It doesn't wash out too bad around here, but. Yeah, that's the plan for right now. Just headed over here to the trailer where we have a box. We have one of those seed boxes. This year we did quite a bit of seed in bags, and then we did quite a bit in boxes too. And so we had one empty box, so all the seed that anytime we switch over to a new variety, that seed block, all the old seed we just dump into that box, and then at the end of it all, we'll start planting Skittles again, like we did last year. Just have a rainbow of different types of seed, and then you just plant it all and put it all in one planter, and then just plant it out where, like towards the last field or whatever. Or we might have to consider planting Sour Patch Kids instead of Skittles, unless if one of them decides to sponsor. There's that. But yeah, gonna head over to the trailer and get to work. Seed is empty. They're just filling up one tire right there before we'll move right there to fill up fertilizer in the front. I already cleaned up my chains that go to my planter, and I always get questions asking what those chains are for. They're just there to help keep the planter a little bit straighter with the tractor, because the cans kind of sway side to side. Any type of toolbar that we have that's pretty decently wide, we always have chains running to the bar in front of the tractor just to help keep it straighter. But it looks like they're just about done, and we'll go fill up some fertilizer. We're all folded up and almost full on fertilizer, and we're ready to go to the next field. And while I'm waiting here, might as well switch it over to the next field if I can find it. There it is. Wait for that to load. Okay. Clear current field coverage. Don't need to turn that on yet. We'll do, I think we have to do straight track first, and then we'll switch over to circle track once we're done with the straight rows. Believe that should be the right one. Wonder what that one is. That's not the right one. It's gonna be that one. And I get that sprayer drivers are in a hurry, but you don't have to nearly run into me. Right before I turned on the camera, he was like 5 feet away from hitting me. I know he was watching out, but he was just really wanted me to get out of the way. And now just time to terrain through a nice river. Doesn't look like much of a river on camera, but it's a river. There's no water, but if it rains, there's water. Every time it rains though, or whenever it's done raining, we do always have to come out here and flatten this area at least a little bit, or else you can't really get through here even with the truck, and especially not with the tractor. And I especially have to fold up because there's some old cattle fences here and whatnot from way back in the day. There's kind of a few posts here on the right hand side, so I kind of got to maneuver my way around it. And the reason why I'm kind of excited about this next circle is not really because it's a bigger circle, but it's because we are doing circle track. So that means, yeah, you have mile-long rows if you're doing straight, but if you're going around in a circle, it's like over 3 miles just to get from here all the way around and then come back to here. So you can cover a lot of acres very quickly. You can progress very, very fast. Like, it's actually pretty insane. So that's why I'm excited that, and we don't have to use bags to fill up our planters. We have a seed tender over there, so we can just always fill up with that, and that's going to be a whole lot quicker. No mess with the bags when there's wind, and all the bags want to just fly all over the place. So yeah, for those reasons, kind of excited. And we're off. So what we normally do is we'll do 3 passes up to the pivot, and then we'll move the pivot where we already planted, and then the rest gets planted in circle track, circle rows, and then you can just turn around right where you planted right here in the middle. Works pretty good. We seem to like it. Works very well with the cotton pickers, and with spraying you don't have to deal with any of the valley tracks around here, so we prefer it that way. Now time to do the circular rows. I guess start a timer to see how long it takes to get from this end all the way around back to that end. I'm estimating somewhere between 30 to 40 minutes is what it's going to take before I'll be all the way around the field. But I guess we'll find out. It is currently 5:58, so we'll see how long it'll take me. I did have to move over 4 rows that way because right beside me is the same river that we drove through earlier. So as you can see, it's getting a little closer to the edge. 4 rows further that way, then my planter would be like in the river essentially. So I just moved over here for a little bit, for a couple 100 yards, and then I'll shift back 4 rows back whenever I get there where there's more room, not a river in my way. And the pivot is in my way. I turned it on earlier, way before I started going around in a circle, and it still didn't reach up to where I already planted. And the time is 6:38. So I got pretty close. We started at what, 5:58? So yeah, that's 40 minutes. That's exactly what I said. Yeah, not bad. 40 minutes just to do 1 round. And according to the GPS, I did 23.3 acres. So do that 6 more times, and then practically got, not 6 more times. Yeah, it is 6 more times. Yes, do that 6 more times, you got a full field done, 120 acres. That's not bad. Progress. And time for supper. And coming back to this side of the pivot, I'm now pretty close to empty, but I'm going to do 1 more pass on that side of the pivot going back towards the pivot. That way there's 3 passes along the middle here, and then after that I should be pretty close to being empty on fertilizer and seed, and then I think I'll just go ahead and fill up because I don't think I'll have enough to do another round. So then while I'm here, might as well fill up. And filled up 1 more time, and then we're good to go again. We might only finish this last load and then call it for today. I mean, then just these couple of passes I would have done 120 acres already in just a couple of hours. So it's still quite a few acres that we covered. It just doesn't seem like a lot since I'm still here at the edge of the circle. I haven't even moved far from the edge, and it's already like done quite a few acres. Just 3 passes along the field is already 60 acres. And if that planter also does 60 acres, we've done a quarter of the field already. So it's insane. I just talked to my cousin, and when he sprays this field, he starts there like I normally would, and he goes around, and when you spray the fertilizer on there with the yellow herbicide, that's what he's spraying. He's spraying that for, you know, residual, and also the cotton needs the fertilizer. Whenever he sprays that, he's doing, what did he say, 30 gallons an acre, and he can do not even 1 full pass, and then he's empty. He can do about 3/4 of the way around, and then he's empty. And that's how I've done, and then he already did 30 acres. So it's pretty crazy when you go around in a circle how many acres that actually is. Like, it doesn't look like a lot, but 16 rows one time around the field is 20 acres. It doesn't seem like a lot. So when you think about it, when you put an overhang on a pivot, when you put like, I don't know, you put 5 extra tips there to get to water more acres. On a half-miler, on a big pivot like this, it actually adds a lot of acres. More acres than what you think. But on a small pivot, you know, it wouldn't make that big of a difference. But here it would make a difference. And there comes the sprayer. This load will be empty here very shortly. For some reason, my field view stopped recording, and I don't know why, but just the past couple of days I've done about 866 acres, so not too bad for, what is it, 3 days? 2.5 actually. Not bad. No, wait, that can't be right. That's 867 acres. That's not right, because we've only done about 1,100 acres in the past couple of days. So have I done 867, and that planter must have only done like 200 and something? I mean, yeah, it's broken down a lot, but that's not right. I know that counter started off at 0, or at least I think it did. I guess it doesn't matter. We covered at least 1,100 acres this 2.5 days already, so that's pretty good. We'll finish this field tomorrow. We'll get about 240 acres done today, and then we'll finish the other 240 acres tomorrow, and then we'll move on to one more field, which is also 240 acres, and we'll finish that one tomorrow too. And then Saturday, tomorrow's Saturday, so tomorrow still be able to hopefully go home somewhat at a decent time and spend the weekend with my family. Never mind. I figured out the issue why that number is so far off, because when you go into here, into this little setting area here, that area counter was set to auto, so even if I was just driving around wherever with the planter up in the air, then it was still recording and it wasn't set to green star. But now it is, so now it's counting right. But now that I know, now that I have not actually planted that many acres, which I thought I had, which is kind of a bummer, but oh well. Hopefully by next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, then we should have everything done in this area. And that'll be it for today. See y'all tomorrow. And welcome back to the next morning. No, it's not 10:25, and no, I did not just start. I might have just started. My uncle was driving for me before that. I was busy trying to fix that other planter again, because for some reason we couldn't get that one started all morning. It did not want to start planting, or well, it kind of planted. The drives are kind of very jittery, and I don't know, so we kind of flushed the whole system, did a full calibration test, and then now it seems to be working decently and all right. So I don't know if it causes more problems throughout the day. We'll I don't know, we're almost assuming one of those motors is going out, those hydraulic motors that controls all the drives. So I don't know, we'll see. But nonetheless, we're back to planting. Busy over here. You better not paint my planter yellow. I understand that the boxes are yellow, but I don't want my black lids to be yellow. You're playing a dangerous game there, buddy. And doing the last pass, as you can see right there. It looks like there's another pass right in between us, but that's just the GPS, the delay. But there's actually no more gap, and getting a phone call, so. But yeah, we're almost done here. We're gonna move over to the next field, which is just straight south that way. It's another 240 acres, but I guess I won't bore you with that. I won't show that any further because it's just more planting. But later today, before I head home, because today is Saturday, I'm planning on going home yet today. Before I leave, I'll try not to forget. I'll show you how this irrigation system works, how we irrigate out here. It's actually quite fascinating. It's a whole lot different than back home. So it's a whole different way of irrigating. Back home where we irrigate, we have like one too many wells per pivot. There's like at least anywhere between 6 to 9 wells per pivot. So it can get quite a lot. But here on this 480 acre circle, there's just one well. And later I'll try to show you that. I think they're planning on turning this pivot on yet here soon. So then it'll be watering, and hopefully I can show you that whole process. Oh, never mind. I was just here barely done with planting, and it looks like they already turned on the pivot, which is actually quite fast. I guess my cousin barely finished spraying what we planted, but he did just spray half of the circle, that way they could turn on the pivot sooner. But they have it actually pretty nice. The one well that goes into this pivot just is able to turn on with your phone, just kind of like how you can control the pivot with your phone. So you just have one well that you got to turn on pretty easy with your phone, and then one pivot to turn on pretty easy with your phone. And the only thing really left to do is just open tips, but it's pretty neat. I'm just about to leave here and head on home, and I'm not going to forget, I am going to show you how we irrigate this one singular field. I just have to turn onto the field right here. And then here's the well. Might be a little bit loud outside, I'm not quite sure, but I guess we'll see. Oh wow, never mind. That electric motor is actually very, very quiet. I thought it was gonna be way louder than that. But here's how we irrigate. Here's this gigantic panel box that just feeds electricity just to this one well, which is covered by a tote. And then when you come over here to this flow meter, 3,200-ish gallons a minute. 12-inch check valve. 12-inch pipe coming out of the ground, which is a lot. It's insane. And we have a specially designed panel box right here, which this panel box turns on that motor extremely slowly and shuts it off very slowly to there's not a random jolt of electricity being shoved in there to crank it up, because that's a big motor. I don't even know what horsepower motor it is. It's all tied down and everything, or else I would look, but I think it's 300 or more horsepower motor, which is pretty ridiculous. So you have to slowly turn it on and everything, which is pretty neat. You can turn it on all with your phone, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's how we irrigate. Just this one well right here, leads into the pivot, and the whole pivot gets water. Right now the pivot is going on 100% and is putting down at least 6/10, so quite a bit of water. But I will be headed home now. Time to go see my wife and kids, so I will see y'all guys in the next video. As always, I do appreciate y'all for watching. Side note, you don't want to mess with these dogs. They've chased a few wild pigs and deers in their day. Got them too.